Memory. It's a crucial element of how we navigate our world and measure intelligence. But what is memory? How does it work? And how can we improve it? Well, let's find out. Let's start by covering a few basics. The way we perceive the world around us is built upon a foundation of our five senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, and sound. When we receive sensory information, it is sent to our brain for processing. Our brain reviews the data it receives and creates a construct of the world around us. When you see the world, you're not actually seeing the world as it is. You're experiencing a three-dimensional representation of the world generated by your own brain. This is based on the information you receive from your senses. Why is this important? Because memories often function under specific contexts, and everything we remember is linked to something by various intensities of association. For example, when you look at or call to mind the image of a banana, your mind doesn't just think banana. It thinks food, tasty, smoothie ingredient, fruit, yellow. Memories are not two-dimensional. They exist in a complex network of opinions, associations, and preferences. This is incredibly important to understand. Now, let's talk about the most basic way we learn and remember things: repetition. Repetition is one of the foundations of memory. When we repeat something, we create a pattern of neurons. Consistently stimulating this pattern of neurons creates a memory. When neurons fire at the same time, it strengthens the connection between them. Memories are not new neurons. Memories are the result of existing neurons firing in a specific pattern. For example, if the neurons in your brain fire in the order ABC, that pattern of neurons might contain the memory of a banana. Whereas if those same neurons fired in the order CAB, it would call to mind a completely different memory, maybe an apple. Obviously, our brains are a bit more complicated than this, and a specific memory can consist of billions of neurons firing in a specific pattern. But this is the general principle. The more neurons fire in a specific pattern, the stronger that memory becomes. This is important because there are two general ways we can learn things. We can either A, strengthen the connection between neurons by repeating an action many times, or B, we can learn something significantly faster through one intense activation of our neural patterns. Now, how can we use this information to improve our memory? Well, scientists performed a study where they took two groups of people and read them stories. One group was given very boring, mundane materials to read, and the other group was given exciting or heavily emotional materials to read. After a certain amount of time, the groups were asked to recall what they could about the stories they had read. Unsurprisingly, the group with the more exciting or emotional stories, both good and bad emotions, were able to recall more details of what they had read. What this study showed is that emotions play a huge role in memory formation. A different study was done, where scientists put a rat in an arena and allowed the rat to explore. When the rat went to investigate a specific pre-designated area in the arena, the researchers would give it a small shock. Unsurprisingly, the rat would then avoid that specific area in the future. It did not take multiple shocks for the rat to remember to avoid this area of the arena. It only took one. This is called one-trial learning, and it works with both positive and negative emotions. What was interesting about this study was that after giving the rat a pharmaceutical that blocked the release of adrenaline, the rat did not seem to remember to avoid the areas where it received the shock. This showed us that adrenaline is one of the key components in quickly solidifying memories in one-trial learning. So how can we use this to improve our own memories? Let's look at one more study, where again, scientists had a group of subjects read a boring story. The subjects then came back to recount what they had remembered. Like we discovered before, their memories of the boring story weren't great. But when they had subjects read the same boring story, but put their arm in ice water after reading it, they saw a significant increase in the subject's abilities to remember the content from the stories. So the scientists found that increasing adrenaline levels after you learn something can significantly increase your ability to remember what you just learned. Now, how can we apply this knowledge? Well, you're probably already doing it, but you might be doing it wrong. Let's look at caffeine, the magical molecule that makes the world go round. Caffeine does two major things in our mind and bodies. First, it decreases the effectiveness of a neurochemical called adenosine, which is one of the chemicals responsible for making us feel tired. But caffeine also increases our adrenaline levels. And as we have learned, spikes in adrenaline improve our ability to commit things to memory. However, what scientists found is that it is not adrenaline alone that improves our ability to commit something to memory, but a spike in adrenaline after learning something that improves our ability to remember it. Let's talk about what that means. So let's say you study from 10 a.m. to noon. What the scientists found is that it's not actually optimal to drink caffeine before learning at 10 a.m., but immediately after learning at noon. In fact, they did studies that show that if your goal is to maximize learning and memory, the optimal time to ingest substances that increase adrenaline levels is immediately after, or 5 to 10 minutes after, learning the material. And the interesting thing is, this applies to both cognitive and physical information. So if you're a gymnast trying to improve your form, or an athlete trying to improve your jump shot, spiking your adrenaline after practice will solidify the body memory of what you just did. And it's not just caffeine. Any substance or action that increases adrenaline levels will work to help you commit things to memory. Cold showers, exercise, weightlifting, any of these actions performed after learning will increase your adrenaline levels and help you remember things. But there are some important things to keep in mind. It is not high adrenaline levels that improve learning. In fact, chronic stress, a symptom of consistently high adrenaline levels, is incredibly bad for your mental performance and your health. It's actually the spike in adrenaline, that is, an increase in adrenaline from where you were previously, that will cement the information in your memory. So if your adrenaline is already high, and you try to increase it by drinking coffee after learning, the effect will not be as strong as it would if you had studied with relatively low adrenaline levels and then performed some action to spike them afterwards. Another important way to improve our memory is through cardiovascular exercise. Cardiovascular exercise has actually been shown to stimulate the production of new neurons in the brain, which is really cool. But there's an even more powerful way that exercise can improve your learning and memory. And that's through a hormone called osteocalcin. When we perform load-bearing exercises like hiking, running, jumping rope, etc., our bones release osteocalcin and it travels through our bloodstream up to our brain, where it significantly improves electrical activity and the formation and maintenance of neural connections within the hippocampus. On top of that, cardiovascular exercise increases blood flow in general, and increased blood flow has also been shown to significantly improve cognitive performance. Because of the increase in blood flow and the release of osteocalcin, exercising 1 to 3 hours before learning will increase your ability to remember and learn. So there you have it. 2 science-backed ways to improve your memory and increase the productivity of your learning. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Have a great day, and as always, keep learning.